So I feel like I kind of already spoiled some of what's coming in February with that Games I'm Pumped For in 2026 video last week, but nonetheless, there are still some games on today's list that I didn't note in that last video, and a lot of the entries we'll be taking a look at today will be available on Steam at launch and often with a demo, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right into Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, coming to PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, Switch, and PC on February 5th. And for me, Dragon Quest feels like the video game series equivalent of like the Cool Kids Club, and I'm just not a member. The closest I've been to beating a Dragon Quest is beating Dragon Quest Builders 2 a few years ago, and I keep collecting the games and deluding myself into thinking I will actually finish a mainline entry someday, so essentially I'm just way out of my element here. But based on what we've seen so far, this is already shaping up to be another gorgeous reimagining of a classic title. And in a way, it's kind of another reimagining, considering Dragon Quest VII did get a 3DS version back in 2013. There's a demo available right now if you want to jump in immediately, and if you do, you'll be able to carry that progress over to the full game, again, when it releases on February 5th. And the next day, we have an action RPG from Team Ninja with the third entry in the Nioh series coming to PS5 and PC on February 6th. And even though I am a general Souls-like fan, I never really got into this series, but I gotta say, the fact that they're including both samurai and ninja playstyles is definitely appealing to me, especially after the fun I had with Assassin's Creed Shadows last year, although this is definitely going to be a more challenging title. Promising seamless switches between the two combat styles with the sort of breakneck speed that Team Ninja is known for is certainly appealing, and some of the bosses we've already seen shown off in these early trailers look like a lot of fun to square off against. Granted, I know the more punishing nature of the genre might not be appealing to everyone, but as someone who took a long time to finally warm up to this sort of brutality in gaming, I promise once it clicks it's extremely rewarding. But if you want to check it out for yourself, there should be a demo available right now as of this video's recording, and if you do dig it, then just like DQ7, the demo progress should carry over into the main game when it gets its full release, again on February 6th. Next up, we have a retro throwback of sorts to the 2D classics of yesteryear, and I was hugely surprised to see this game is actually published by Acclaim, and that would be The Prisoning Fletcher's Quest, releasing on PC and Nintendo Switch on February 10th. And right from the start of this trailer, it caught my attention immediately seeing the old school Acclaim logo pop up. I knew the publisher had some ups and downs throughout the years, but I didn't think they were still publishing games, and after I dug into it a little bit, it looks like they did in fact file for bankruptcy before being revived last year as Play Acclaim, newly relaunched as an indie publisher, and it looks like The Prisoning is part of that effort. After a psychologist visit goes wrong, you're trapped in the mind of a game developer who is on the brink of physical and emotional burnout, and in turn you'll be playing through this Metroidvania Light, which is based on a true story. And despite the fact that creative burnout definitely hits a little close to home for me, I'm really intrigued by the idea, and while I'm a little put off by it being procedurally generated, I can't wait to see what reviewers think of it, and I might just go ahead and take the leap on this one again when it drops on February 10th. Moving on to some more action, albeit the way over the top sort, we have Grasshopper's latest release, Romeo is a Dead Man, coming to PS5, Xbox, and PC on February 11th. And boy howdy am I pumped for this one, because even though Grasshopper's releases at least have some level of jank, they're almost always completely ridiculous and a ton of fun to play. In this one, you'll be taking control of Romeo Stargazer, where after space-time itself gets ruptured, Romeo will be recruited by the FBI's space-time police as a special agent who's meant to wander the cosmos and search out criminals who are exploiting the situation, all while at the same time looking for his missing girlfriend, well, Juliet. And from what we've seen so far, it looks ludicrously hyper-violent and bloody with style for days, and that's exactly what I've come to expect from Grasshopper releases. Probably going to be a day one purchase for me since it's hard for me to shy away from anything that lets me run around with swords and guns, and I'm going to do my best to stay as in the dark on this one as I can leading up to release, but yeah, suffice it to say I'm already very excited based on what we've seen from the trailers. But now onto some decidedly lighter fare with an arcadey sports title. We have Mario Tennis Forever releasing the next day on February 12th for the Switch 2. And these are exactly the sorts of sports games I tend to gravitate to. They're just arcadey fun that can be hyper competitive, but can also just offer some lighthearted multiplayer fun. Naturally, you can use the Joy-Con to simulate the racket swing, but the big draw here are the Fever rackets, which have their own unique abilities, which might let you shrink an opponent, cover the court in ice, or summon a shadowy doppelganger of yourself to assist. Beyond the standard modes you'd expect, there's also online play, and even an adventure mode where the crew get turned into babies and have to complete the adventure to return to normal. And considering I haven't played Mario Tennis since I think Mario Power Tennis back on the GameCube, it might be time for me to give the series another spin. Next up, dropping the next day on February 13th for PlayStation, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC, we have High on Life 2. Taking place as a direct sequel to the original, you're now a very successful bounty hunter in this game, but after an alien pharmaceutical conglomerate kidnaps your sister, it's on you to hop back into action. And by far, I think the most interesting thing on display here is the addition of a skateboard mechanic. It looks so fast and chaotic that in a way it almost feels like a spiritual successor to Sunset Overdrive or something. And while I'd love to dive back into the weird world of High on Life, I still need to wrap up the original first because, well, I might have gotten distracted the first go around watching too much Tammy and the T-Rex in-game, and yes, you can watch the entire movie and you should because it's schlocky good fun, which is, well, perfectly appropriate for High on Life. But anyways, if you were a big fan of the original, it looks like they're expanding on everything that made that first outing great, and I imagine it will satisfy just about anybody who's looking for a bonkers off-the-wall shooter with a heavy dose of humor. Moving on, we have a new entry in the Demon Turf series with Demon Tides dropping on February 19th for PC. And this is actually the third entry, I believe, because we got Demon Turf in 2021, a follow-up Demon Turf Neon Splash in 2022, which I totally missed, but this feels like a huge expansion over those prior two efforts. Also, apparently developers took some inspiration from Elden Ring in designing their open world for Beebs to traverse to try and jam-pack every explorable area with something new to discover. But I think the biggest departure here is that visually her character model now looks to be more 3D and less 2D-ish. Don't get me wrong, I like the visual style of the original Demon Turf and enjoyed its platforming, but I also felt like it could be a little hard to line up my jumps, cool as the effect was. And this time it still retains the cel-shaded aesthetic, but the character models look a lot easier to track in terms of positioning. And I'll definitely be checking out the demo at the very least, which is available right now if you want to check it out yourself and get a taste of what Beebs' Adventure has to offer. Next up, we've got some high fantasy stealth action with Styx Blades of Greed, dropping on the same day on February 19th for PC. And this was kind of a weird one for me to include because I could have sworn I'd seen this game's predecessor, Styx Shards of Darkness and Styx Master of Shadows years ago, but I couldn't remember anything about it. So I looked it up, and apparently it's a prequel series to a game from 2012 for Windows, PS3, and 360 called Of Orcs and Men, which I also haven't played. But I have to say I'm intrigued and went ahead and grabbed its two predecessors, since they put them on sale for like $1.99, which isn't too shabby. With a heavy emphasis on stealth, you'll be controlling Styx, the stealthy goblin, and along with his crew hunt down a mysterious new power source, Quartz. From the extended trailers, it looks like a really good time with a ton of voice work, and while I don't know if I'll become a Styx fan immediately since I'm already like 2 entries behind the curve, I'll certainly be keeping an eye on it. And if you missed the sale on the first 2 entries and just want a taste of sneaking around as a stealthy goblin, you can grab the demo on Steam right now, and just like Dragon Quest and Nioh, it should let you bring your progress over into the main game, again when it drops on the 19th. But next up, let's get a little bit nautical with one of the most stylish games on this list, Tides of Tomorrow, releasing on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC on February 24th. From the creators of Road 96, Tides of Tomorrow is a first-person adventure game where you'll take control of a Tidewalker in a world where a cataclysmic flood has destroyed most of civilization. The twist is that your actions in the game will affect the world state for other players. And it's definitely interesting, as actions you take as a player get experienced as visions by subsequent players, and the NPCs will react to you based on whatever your predecessor did. This sounds a little trippy, and with its hyper-vivid visuals and unique storytelling approach, I'm definitely curious to see how the reviews shake out for this one and might go ahead and grab the demo, but be aware that in this one, demo progress does not carry over, so probably best just to check it out sparingly if you find that the game really resonates with you. And finally, my most anticipated game of February, and I'm sure this is true for a lot of people, dropping on PS5, Xbox, Switch 2, and PC on February 27th, Resident Evil Requiem. And as of a couple of weeks ago, we now have much more gameplay to digest, and it looks like they're splitting the experience. Grace's portions will play more like Resident Evil 7, while Leon's part will play out more in the vein of Resident Evil 4, and have some ridiculous new counters that look totally devastating. Granted, a good portion of the showcase was spent hawking Porsche and timepieces, but they also showed some pretty slick stuff for the deluxe edition, like a noir filter which looks incredible to me, and also some other goodies like alternate costumes and whatnot. It all looks incredibly tense and fun, and I am very eager to play this on day one, either on PS5 or Switch 2 because, well, I might have pre-ordered it for both because I have a problem. But that's going to be it for this one. As always, this isn't every game dropping in February, so if you have any recommendations of your own or something you're looking forward to that I didn't mention on this list, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. Coming up on the channel, we're going to start diving into some Steam Machine content as we get closer to launch this year, and also, again, a little bit more N64 content as I've been testing the Analog 3D, and the other day I got to test out that Banjo Recompile PC port, which is a ton of fun, so yeah, stay tuned for that. As always, thank you so much for your time and watching videos here on the channel, take care, and I will see you on the next one. Later.